Greetings everyone, so Fine Dance 98 back at it with another reaction. We're looking at was Lord Drakkon versus Ohma Zi-O EVER close? Well, let's see how this goes, because I myself have only seen clips of the fight, so let's see how everyone analyzes it. Now, I may have to break this up since this is 40 minutes of this discussion, so I may have to break this up into two parts, but we'll see how the dice roll. In the meantime, let's see how this fight, well, wasn't close in the first place.
What makes a hero? Is it the courage and determination? Or is it kindness and optimism? To the people I'm about to talk about, I think they say it's pure, unmatched power. Power really is the true deciding factor of what is right and wrong. And if you have all the power, then you have the world. The god of the grid, Lord Drakkon, versus the demon king of time and space, Ohma Zi-O. This is a matchup that has been a cornerstone for the matches of both men in spandex for about as long as I can remember. But weirdly enough, I don't really see any deep dives into exactly how the matchup will play out, which is why I'm here. Hey, how you doing? I'm Ultima. I'm gonna look into the histories of not only these characters, but also this multi-decade long franchise these characters are from, to see who truly comes out on top. This is all.
I may have to look at the death battle between these two to see exactly what sparked this whole debate.
So totally not because I'm a petty bitch and two discourse friends just argue with me. I guess might judge me on who I think wins this. Anyway,
Sure.
so let's start with Drakkon. Lord Drakkon is actually the legendary
Tommy Oliver from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers from another universe. What made Drakkon so special, however, is that out of all of the Tommies in the multiverse, he's the only one to ever stay on the dark side of morality after breaking free of Rita's mind control. In this timeline, now fully willing to work with Rita, Tommy would promptly solo all of the main Rangers along with Zordon and mentally kill Saba in base form, thus merging his Green Ranger powers and the White Ranger power. And eventually, with this
whole new level of strength, Tommy would take over the entire world of Rita.
Well, until he killed her also. You know,
Ooh.
counts as being evil and all that jazz. You know. Anyways,
Years would go by as Drakkon would prepare a massive and terrible army of Ranger Centurions as he prepares to show not only his world,
but all worlds that only he is allowed to rule over them, as the one
true God.
I'm gonna have to read that comic now.
now let's just get this out the way. Drakkon is one of the strongest characters in the entire Power Rangers franchise. Easy. His entire story revolves around this multi-personal conquest and war against every single Power Ranger in existence. And he even fuses himself with the power of multiple other Ranger teams to achieve higher levels of godhood. So pretty much any feat that comes from previous Power Rangers, Drakkon would just upscale that by like 1,000,000,000 times over. Alright, okay, so let's start. A decent chunk of Power Rangers should have this planetary AP. This is from skin to the Zord, Serpentera, an absolutely gigantic Megazord created by Lord Zed with enough power to destroy an entire planet at max power. This is obviously a planetary feat, but considering Serpentera blew the planet beyond its GBE, it is arguable that Serpentera was exerting dwarf star levels of energy at max power. In Power Rangers Forever Red, a team of the first 10 red Power Rangers banded together to stop the threat of Serpentera once and for all before it, blows up the planet. You know. It's kind of its job, right? Serpentera would then only be defeated by Cole, the Wild Force Red Ranger, in base, and arguably not even that far into his career as a Power Ranger. All the other Rangers have fought even with him during the entire special, so they should have the same planetary to Dwarf Star levels of power. And in speed, these guys ain't slouches either. Again, looking into Forever Red, all the Rangers scale to Andros, where he commonly flies and fights and take a fucking gas, with people calculating some of the feats in space to be as fast as 2,209 times to 3,534 times faster than light. This applies not only to his travel speed, but also reaction and combat speed, since Andros could dodge lasers and fight farther while moving at these insane speeds. One of, if not the best feats, comes from the original run of Mighty Morphin. As in Season 2, Episode 27, the Power Rangers decided to fly off, which is something they could do, apparently. I feel like this is a fix. They just did this all the time, just fix a lot of the problems they had, when they had the Mighty Morphin suits. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. Anyways, they flew to the furthest galaxy in the known universe from Earth in a matter of a few hours. This feat has been calculated to be 32 trillion times the speed of light, arguably higher with Serpentera, you fat fuck, can travel the same distance in an arguably shorter amount of time. Though I don't have any calculations for Serpentera, and I don't really feel like doing it. So 32 trillion it is.
Hey, so it's me during the recording process of this video, and good news, I was able to find a calculation for Serpentera's speed during his travel from the furthest galaxy back to Earth, and that's been calculated at like 7 quadrillion times faster than light, I think. So, yeah, that's pretty neat.
And this is all extremely impressive, but this is all honestly small stuff to what Drakkon can do in the comics at full power. Now, with these type of characters, the Power Rangers cosmology in the comics has an infinite multiverse with infinite possibilities and yada 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 yada, blah blah blah. What gets interesting though is what is above the multiverse. The morphing grid. Basically, the speed force of the Power Rangers. The morphing grid is an omnipresent dimension made of pure energy beyond linear time and space that connects every Power Ranger together and what makes them morph into their legendary suits in the first place. Whether it's through magic, or man-made technology, or a fucking space card. All of it comes from the morphing grid. And the main guardians of the morphing grid are the trio of the emissaries. Trio of emissaries. Yeah. Beings who have been implied to see the fourth dimension rather limiting to their language. And even after being directly asked by Zordon for assistance in the war against Drakkon, for the fate of the entire multiverse was on the line, they looked at each other and said, "Nah, we good." Because the morphing grid will be completely unaffected by the collapse of the multiverse. So, this is 1, a completely dick move, 2, bomb scum behavior, and 3, pretty much undeniable proof that these guys, and by extension the morphing grid, is at least 5th dimensional beings in existence and power. So, Drakkon scales to and above this, considering soon after Drakkon fused with the power of multiple other Rangers to essentially reach godhood, he will then load the emissaries and attain the morphing heart / heart of the morphing magic. I'm just call it the morphing heart because sounds cool. He then uses this power to pretty much instantly destroy the entire multiverse to create his own reality with the power he has over the morphing grid, after causing massive strain on it and threatening the grid's destruction during his war and ascension. This will warrant Drakkon high 5D, probably 6D levels of power after attaining the morphing heart, or high complex multiversal. Or in a simpler term, not only that, Drakkon will gain a pretty significant bonus into his journey to godhood. See, out of the entire infinite multiverse, Drakkon is the only Tommy in all of creation to permanently stay on the dark side. Along with the power he gained from the morphing heart, not only is Drakkon a temporal anomaly, but also a causal being, effectively meaning Drakkon's existence became entirely separate from any linear timeline, and makes him completely unaffected to any timeline doohickery that may happen or change his past. This and the fact that the power was collapsing time itself, this will give Drakkon easily immeasurable speed with the bonus of practically being immortal in several different ways. With all this power, you may think this guy is unstoppable with no holes in his power whatsoever.
I mean, at this point, pretty much, like, what do you do against that?
Well, okay, there's a couple weaknesses. One is that he's very unstable, like physically, spiritually, and especially mentally. Oh my god, brother was tweaking for a very good chunk of the final arc. And it's not like Drakkon is dumb or anything. He wouldn't be winning a multiversal war with super geniuses and higher dimensional gods almost single-handedly if he wasn't. But he has an extremely fragile ego that makes him extremely susceptible to his power going to his brain. And he makes mistakes and a smart fire can take advantage of. The prime example of this is when Drakkon created his perfect reality with a morphing heart. The prime universe Tommy we all know appears and harasses Drakkon from pretty much the astral plane. This drives Drakkon so far into the brink of insanity, he weakens his hold of his entire universe to the point that the original Tommy was able to revive himself, leading to the plan that causes the downfall of Drakkon once and for all. Oh, remember how Drakkon used the power of multiple Ranger teams to achieve his incredible strength? Yeah, so this great power might also be his greatest weakness. For the bonus of his immense power, Drakkon runs the risk of breaking down on a genetic level due to his body not being able to handle so many Power Rangers power sets at the same time.
Well, gee, think? I mean, it's almost like when you have multiple powers from multiple people all fighting for control in your body, you kind of don't last long physically somehow.
If Drakkon lets his power become too unstable, it is almost a guaranteed chance of him imploding from the power overloading from within his body. Still, despite all these shortcomings, Drakkon is still one of the most dangerous and powerful antagonists in Power Rangers history.
They will realize the truth. They could have been gods.
Now that we got that psychopath out of the way, let's get into Ohma Zi-O. Now, Ohma Zi-O is just a future version of a young man named
Toku Sogo. This Sogo, for the most part, goes through the same events now in life as the main Sogo we all know. He got his Jiku driver in Geo Ride Watch during his high school years on September 8th, 2018, and would go on his own adventures as the hero, Kamen Rider Geo. But there was one thing missing. See, Sogo never wanted to be just a hero. He wanted to be a king. king of the entire planet. Now, at first, this goal was pure. He wanted to be a kind king who would take the world into a brighter future with his own hands. But when he was given the incredible power over time and space itself, with no friends, no gates, no Tsukiyomi to tell him the path he would walk on was wrong, this power would corrupt him, and Sogo would continue to evolve this power until he became unstoppable, stopping the creation of any Kamen Riders past his own, and with 50% of the entire human population erased with the use of his daimazines, Sogo would stand alone as the strongest Kamen Rider in all of creation. He is the end times. He is a demon who rules over the time stream. He is the greatest, the highest.
Yeesh.
Now, keep in mind, same as Lord Drakkon, Ohma Zi-O upscales from practically every Kamen Rider that came before him. He is described as the strongest Kamen Rider of all time on multiple occasions, both in and outside of the show. And he even proves it by low-dipping most, if not all, of the previously most powerful Kamen Riders to ever exist, and even their antagonists. So, again, any big feats that come from previous Kamen Riders, Ohma Zi-O can do it like a billion times over. They'll do. Now, there is some heated debate on his Ohma Zi-O power spread beyond the Heisei era. Personally, I think he does, but for the sake of being nice, and to make this just easier on me, I'll also keep Ohma Zi-O only to Heisei era when it comes to his abilities, but I'll still take any scaling and additional cosmology to Heisei era by gained with the Showa and Reiwa era, because I don't see really any reason why not, considering how many times the eras have crossed over. You know? Now, starting out with the AP, we have the iconic Kuga Ultimate form, primarily known for its amazing ability to destroy the Earth. Now, there's a little contention with this scaling, since not only do we not see Kuga perform this feat, but we also have, like, literally no idea how he could destroy the Earth. Whether it's complete instant annihilation, or maybe he just destroys humanity and the surface of the planet over the course of time as, like, the new strongest being. Whatever. While I get these complaints, I think there are enough statements from supplementary material like guys plainly stating Kuga as a planetary threat. So while he doesn't exactly show it in the show, I think there's enough author intent in believing Kuga could definitely destroy the Earth. I won't give him the like dwarf star level scaling like I did with Serpentera, because again, we don't know how the hell he's destroying the planet, and I'm arguing hard enough just to get him to baseline planetary. So
I mean, to be fair, Kuga was scaled by Lambo Carician to have the power of nuclear warheads in his kick, so, you know, I could see it.
There's also the feat by the Overlord from Kamen Rider Agito, who is pretty much God Lucifer, kinda? I don't know, I haven't watched the show yet, I will soon, probably. Anyways, he performs the feat of forming the Scorpio constellation with his power by moving stars into that formation, so he can lead all humanity into killing themselves in a doppelganger homicide trance that will lead to their own extinction. Okay. Considering the number of stars he was moving along with the speed, this was been a solar system to multi-solar system. The last big feat I want to go over is the creation of the new world in Kamen Rider Build. To provide context, the main cast of Kamen Rider Build figured out the plan to be the main villain, Evold once and for all with the use of the Pandora Box. The Pandora Box is an extraterrestrial super weapon used by Evold with the power to defy the laws of physics and even interact with alternate universes. The plan the cast had in store was to use the space-distorting effects of the Pandora's Box to summon another timeline and merge it with the main universe to create an entirely new timeline, with Evold and the box crushed in the middle of the space distortion, so that the new timeline can exist, as both Evold and the Pandora's Box never existed in the first place. In the last-ditch effort to ensure the fate of the new world, Kamen Rider Build and Cross would have their final fight with Evold in the middle of the time-space distortion, merging the two worlds. They would emerge victorious over Evold as a tank being in the middle of the blast epicenter, combining both worlds. While fatigued, mind you, these two had the durability and therefore AP were a pretty blatant low multiversal level feat, since it included the merging of two entire universes. In terms of finite speed for Kamen Rider, things get a little bit more complicated. Of course, there's plenty of FTL feats, but none as blatant as shooting ass thunder across the universe. But you know, I'll do it. I'll try. For starters, in the first superhero Tyson movie, Kamen Rider Forze, along with the Go Busters, was able to drive and steer the Go Buster O from Saturn back to Earth in less than a minute, rating speeds from 148 times faster than light on low ball to 266 times faster than light as a baseline. There's also like a calc that reaches over 400 times faster than light that I heard from Knights of Spears video, but I couldn't personally find the calc, so I just say eyeball and get over with. Along with that, every Fives rider primarily uses laser technology for their gear. Some of their moves even have them convert their bodies into pure beams of light. Later in the season, Kamen Rider 5 attains the 5 axle form, which is stated to be a 1,000 times multiplier. Not only is Toku able to move at these speeds, but he also attack and flex to the damn camera at these speeds, making these guys at least 1,000 times faster than light. Now, of course, all this sounds pretty broken, but of course, this isn't even a fraction of what Ohma can do when he's at least somewhat locked in. Now for this part, I'll be using the cosmologies of Super Sentai also due to all the crossovers between the two franchises. And before I hear y'all start yapping about how crossovers aren't canon, so we use this game, I'm telling you this right now, it does not matter. Ohma Zi-O has the power and full knowledge of everything Kamen Rider, canon or not. Prime example of this is when a younger version of himself summoned practically every Heisei Kamen Rider in existence, including people like Kamen Rider G, an adult-oriented short series side writer meant to be part of DiBiase's 50th anniversary, who uses wine as his power. The Go Riders were Kamen Rider parodies of the original Sentai team Go Ranger, with a total of like 7 minutes of screen time, only showing the crossover events between Kamen Rider and Super Sentai, and the manga version of Kuga. No, I don't mean he summoned a Kuga suit with memories of the manga event. No. I mean, he took a volume of Kamen Rider Kuga, gave that manga life, and the panels of the Kamen Rider Kuga manga transcended its pages, and as still images started moving around and killed like 5 people in the real world. If that's not enough proof, I don't know what is, okay? And be lucky I don't go all the way with this line scaling, because honestly, I'm kind of lowballing here. Like, you want me to bring out the Ultraman scaling? You want me to bring out the Marvel and DC scaling? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Pussy.
Anyways, same as Power Rangers, the base multiverse of Kamen Rider is an infinite universe, an infinite dimensions, and blah, 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 blah. You know, whether it's through the AR worlds of Decade or the parallel worlds of Build. Kamen Rider has a defined infinite multiverse, and it's arguable that each Kamen Rider timeline contains its own infinite multiverse, as stated by Kamen Rider Decade, who stated each and every Kamen Rider season exists in their own timeline, until it was all merged together by the guy who had about 50% of his power. All of this is basically squared by the mirror world from Kamen Rider Ryuki, which is just the main universe flipped over. That gets arguably cued with the Ryuki novel, stating that the mirror world is its own infinite multiverse, infinitely reflecting itself over and over and over as each reflection becomes another reality. All of that gets crammed together into one singular universe that exists parallel to each and every existing timeline, plus another stack with the Wonder World from Kamen Rider Saber, being another infinite-sized realm to our own universe. We know the Wonder World exists in at least multiple other universes, because the Dark Sword oh my god, I need to watch this real quick. Because the Dark Sword Kurayami has the ability to show his youth.
I need to watch
There's
it.
dozens upon dozens of visions of other timelines where both our world and the Wonder World gets obliterated. Above all of these are higher dimensions like the 4th dimensional realm, the Uju occupied in King Oj. While this space is not blatantly stated to be a space in a higher dimension, if you use something called your eyes, you can see that they're at least actively trying to convey that it's a higher dimension, barely conceivable by our own lower dimensional minds. And considering the King Oja need to upgrade their mech into the transcendental great ultimate fight god King Oja. With the context provided, they're using the literal meaning of transcendental. King Oja is destined into a higher dimension in the final battle, which, you know, totally 100% is a blatant Lagan reference. Above that is the Ideon dimension from Dawn Brothers, a higher dimension created through emotions and human thought, which even has an official visual on the Toei website, if you use the Wayback Machine, that displays the Ideon dimension as a space higher than our own dimension, and the beings that live inside it are also higher dimensional beings, making it 5D above Durange's room, which represents the universe, while the Ideon dimension is above it. And above.
Wow, okay, I'm gonna need time to process that information because that is a lot to absorb. Oh man, so Kamen Rider is literally the Toku child of multi-dimensional crossovers, constantly alongside the Super Sentai verse, as it were. Oh god. Oh my god, this is a lot to process. Oh boy. Anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed this so far. We're gonna take on the second half of this later, but dang, yeah, Lord Drakkon and Ohma Zi-O, yeah, they seem pretty close in power when you break it down, but also the fact that they both affected their universes in a multiversal way. So yeah, it comes down to who affected more, I guess. That really is what it comes down to. Anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this. I certainly am, but I am getting a headache from trying to process these power levels. Good God. I'm just like, hey Goku, Beerus, you guys may need to take some notes from these boys. I'm just saying. Also, O King, you have 12 dimensions. These guys have at least 30 under their belts each. You know, just saying that they might have you beat there. Oh boy, yeah, I'm gonna need a brain break to process this anyway. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Please like, comment, subscribe down below. Leave some comments, do whatever you want to do, because I am enjoying these videos. I hope you guys are too. Please subscribe and keep growing the channel as we try to reach more people with this kind of content. And let's see what we can do going forward, because my brain is exploding. Let's keep enjoying